The moment Kris Jenner revealed what really happened the day Rob Kardashian was born, fans were stunned. She says the entire Kardashian family reacted like it was New Year's Eve, champagne-level excitement, tears, gifts, everything.
But why?
What made this one birth so explosive, so meaningful, that it shifted the energy inside the Kardashian household overnight? Kris finally opened up about the hidden pressure, the cultural expectations, and the emotional weight she'd been carrying for years, and the truth changes the way you see this family forever. There was a quiet tension in the air long before Rob Kardashian ever arrived. Kris Jenner admits that from the moment she married Robert Kardashian Sr., the whispers started. His Armenian family came from a long, deeply rooted tradition where having a son wasn't just exciting, it was expected. Every pregnancy came with hopeful glances and comments she could never escape. "I hope it's the boy," they'd say. "This one has to be Robert Jr." And after 3 girls in a row, those voices only grew louder. Kris remembers feeling the weight of it, like she was carrying more than just a baby. She was carrying the pressure of an entire culture waiting for the next generation's male heir. The excitement, the anticipation, the subtle reminders, it all built up quietly. But as Kris now reveals, this pressure was only the beginning. The moment Rob finally entered the world, everything shifted in an instant. Kris says it felt like the entire Kardashian clan had been holding their breath for years, and suddenly they all exhaled at once. She remembers the hospital room buzzing before anyone even saw the baby. Word spread so fast that her mother-in-law practically sprinted through the doors, clutching a diamond brooch she'd been saving for this exact moment. And when she handed it to Kris, the room erupted. Phone calls, cheers, people crying. Kris describes it like a full-blown New Year's Eve celebration inside a maternity ward. It wasn't just happiness, it was relief, pride, and tradition all crashing together in one explosive moment. And Kris could feel instantly that this birth meant something much bigger than she ever imagined. Almost overnight, Kris says her home transformed into a celebration of Armenian heritage. The moment Rob came into the picture, the cultural side of Robert Kardashian Sr.'s family kicked in with full force. Suddenly her kitchen was filled with dishes she had never even heard of before, rich, traditional Armenian meals that relatives insisted the kids needed to grow up with. Aunts and uncles stopped by more often, eager to share stories, recipes, and customs. And then came the language lessons. Kris laughs now, admitting the kids didn't get very far with Armenian, but the effort was constant, loving, and loud. It was as if Rob's birth unlocked a part of the family that had always been waiting in the wings, ready to step forward the moment a son arrived. And for Kris, watching this cultural wave sweep into her home was both overwhelming and unexpectedly beautiful. But as she quickly learned, this wasn't just about celebrations. There were deeper expectations tied to all of it. To Kris, the celebrations were heartwarming, but underneath them was a message she couldn't ignore. Rob wasn't just the first boy in the family, he was the one they quietly believed would carry the Kardashian name forward. She says the moment he was born, people spoke to her differently. They treated Rob differently. There was this unspoken idea that he represented the future head of the family, a role soaked in tradition and expectation. And suddenly Kris found herself navigating a whole new dynamic with her in-laws. Every visit came with advice, hopes, and subtle reminders of what a son was supposed to become. She loved the cultural pride, but she couldn't help noticing how quickly the energy shifted around her newborn. It was no longer just about raising a child. It was about raising the child everyone had been waiting for. And that kind of pressure, she admits, changed everything. Today, Rob Kardashian's life looks completely different from the future so many people imagined for him at birth. Instead of stepping into the spotlight or carrying the family name the way others once expected, Rob has carved out a quieter, more grounded path, and becoming a father is a huge part of that shift. When he called into Khloé's podcast, he spoke with a softness people haven't heard from him in years. He admitted that Dream changed everything. She made him more focused, more steady, more intentional about where he puts his energy. Rob said he once pictured himself having 5 kids, a whole bustling family, but now he can't imagine handling that much chaos. Dream is his world, and he pours all his attention into raising her right. He talked about the responsibility, the weight of caring for another human, and how it reshaped his entire outlook. And hearing him describe fatherhood with that kind of clarity makes you realize how far he's come and how different his journey is from what anyone expected when he was born into all that pressure. For years, fans have wondered why Rob slowly drifted away from the cameras, the red carpets, and the non-stop Kardashian spotlight, and Section 6 is where that quiet mystery finally sharpens into focus. Rob's journey behind the scenes hasn't been simple, and while he rarely speaks about it publicly, reports claim he's chosen a life with far fewer eyes on him. Some fans speculate that the pressure he grew up with, being the only boy, the future of the family, the expected heir to a massive public dynasty, may have played a bigger role than anyone realized. Others believe he stepped back intentionally after experiencing how brutal fame can be, especially when personal struggles get magnified online. Whatever the reason, Rob seems to have found peace in privacy. He's focused on fatherhood, health, and stability, not headlines or reality show storylines. And that shift, quiet as it is, paints a very different picture from the legacy people imagined for him the day he was born into all that explosive celebration. But Kris says this quieter version of Rob still carries something powerful, and that leads to her most unexpected reflection of all. When Kris looks back now, she says Rob ended up teaching her something she never expected, something deeper than cultural traditions or family roles. Having a son opened a window into a world she hadn't fully understood. She realized how differently people treated him from the moment he arrived, how much meaning others attached to his existence before he could even speak. And watching him grow, stumble, disappear from the spotlight, and rebuild himself as a father gave her a new understanding of what it truly means to raise a boy in a family as public and as complicated as theirs. Kris admits she learned about identity, about expectations, and about how powerful it is when someone quietly chooses their own path instead of the one designed for them. Rob showed her that being the boy wasn't about status or tradition. It was about heart. And that, she says, has been one of the most beautiful, unexpected lessons of her entire life. Kris's story makes you rethink everything we assume about legacy, tradition, and the roles families place on their kids before they even take their first breath. Rob was celebrated as the one who would carry the name, the culture, the expectations, yet he grew into someone who chose peace over pressure, privacy over fame, and love over legacy. And in the end, that quiet strength became the lesson Kris never saw coming. It makes you wonder how many of us are still trying to live up to expectations we never agreed to, and how different life could look if we chose our own path instead. So what do you think? Is family pressure something that shapes us, or something we eventually break free from? Let me know your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind Hollywood's biggest names.